Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Bible Together, where my wife and I talk about the Bible together. And I could have had a nice little transitional intro here from Bible study this morning, but we didn't get a chance to go over it.
Right.
But we were looking at Genesis 24. We're supposed to look at Genesis 24 this morning, and has a lot to do with a lot of principles of marriage and spiritually trying to be equal in your marriage, praying together, being in the word together. So I heard a preacher recently say that, as a couple, if you're trying to court somebody as a young Christian, the first thing on your first date, ask them if you can pray to start.
Ooh.
And if the person's like, oh, I don't really pray, or they'll just kick them out and be about your way. Like, oh.
Yeah.
And if it's a great icebreaker, because they'll be like, oh, that was interesting. Why'd you do that? But if they're not willing to do it with you, they're not
Do you think that
equally
we
yoked.
would have done that on our first date?
Probably.
Do you remember our first date?
Vaguely. Why are you surprised? Why don't make me do this right now? It's Mother's Day coming up. We're not.
What counts as our first date, though? Is it our first place going out somewhere, or the first time we spent, as a couple, after we said we were dating?
Before we were dating, we saw a movie with another couple people. Because
We did?
we were supposed to go see that terrible movie with Katherine Heigl and the guy from That 70s Show, but we accidentally ended up in Night and Day, which was a great movie.
I have no memory of that.
Dante and Whitney and some others were there.
We went before we were dating to see that?
Yeah.
Have no memory of that.
Wow.
That's not fair. You don't even remember the first time we met.
And I think we went to P.F. Chang's at one point
No, we
early
didn't.
on. I'm not saying it was first. I'm just saying
It wasn't P.F. Chang's. It was the Bamboo Palace.
Ah, the Bamboo Palace.
Which was my favorite place. That was around camp. That was around camp, which was where we were working.
Anywho, so the preacher said, you need to be praying together as a couple. You need to be in your Bible together as a couple. And I was like, oh, we pray together every night, but we don't spend a lot. Wait, we go through this every week, and we talk about our Bible with each other a lot. That was the whole point. Welcome to Bible Together, where
you put your hand in front of the camera.
The Bible together.
Stop.
Don't worry about her.
I was asking because you said that. Would we have done that when we first met?
And I said, sure, and continued my intro.
I think we would have.
We are way too early to get this derailed.
Let's go. You're deflecting.
I'm not deflecting. I'm trying to keep us focused on our very, very tight timeline. We are very sorry we didn't get to do it last week. Our timeline was even tighter. And we're going to have to sit down and record a few of these just so some come out over the summer. But
I don't know when that's going to happen. It has to be this week and next week, kind of.
We have appointments the next 2 days. I don't know.
Next week.
I'm excited to get into Judges some more.
I am, yeah.
And today we're going to look at Judges chapter 2.
Yes. Can I read?
You may.
Okay, let's go. Chapter 2.
Let's go.
Oh. I already know. No. I've highlighted my Bible here, and I like the highlights that I have, so I know based on my highlights what's going on. Let's go. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said to the Israelites, I brought you out of Egypt into this land that I swore to give your ancestors, and I said I would never break my covenant with you. For your part, you are not to make any covenants with the people living in this land. Instead, you were to destroy their altars, but you disobeyed my command. Why did you do this? So now I declare that I will no longer drive out the people living in your land. They will be thorns in your sides, and their gods will be a constant temptation to you. When the angel of the Lord finished speaking to all the Israelites, the people wept loudly. So they called the place Bochim, which means weeping, and they offered sacrifices there to the Lord. After Joshua sent the people away, each of the tribes left to take possession of the land allotted to them. And the Israelites served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and the leaders who outlived him, those who had seen all the great things the Lord had done for Israel. Hold on, I want to mark. Oh, I need to remember that to mark that. Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. They buried him in the land he had been allocated at Timnath-Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. After that generation died, another generation grew up who did not acknowledge the Lord or remember the mighty things he had done for Israel. The Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight and served the images of Baal. They abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors, who had brought them out of Egypt. They went after other gods, worshipping the gods of the people around them, and they angered the Lord. They abandoned the Lord to serve Baal and the images of Ashtaroth. This made the Lord burn with anger against Israel, so he handed them over to raiders who stole their possessions. He turned them over to their enemies all around, and they were no longer able to resist them. Every time Israel went out to battle, the Lord fought against them, causing them to be defeated just as he had warned, and the people were in great distress. Then the Lord raised up judges to rescue the Israelites from their attackers. Yet Israel did not listen to the judges, but prostituted themselves by worshiping other gods. How quickly they turned away from the path of their ancestors who had walked in obedience to the Lord's commands. Whenever the Lord raised up a judge over Israel, he was with that judge and rescued the people from their enemies throughout the judge's lifetime. For the Lord took pity on his people who were burdened by oppression and suffering. But when the judge died, the people returned to their corrupt ways, behaving worse than those who had lived before them. They went after other gods, serving and worshipping them, and they refused to give up their evil practices and stubborn ways. So the Lord burned with anger against Israel. He said, "Because these people have violated my covenant, which I made with their ancestors, and have ignored my commands, I will no longer drive out the nations that Joshua left unconquered when he died. I did this to test Israel, to see whether or not they would follow the ways of the Lord as their ancestors did. That is why the Lord left those nations in place. He did not quickly drive them out or allow Joshua to conquer them all." Oh, that's it. Oh my gosh.
That's an abrupt ending.
I was
Fire away.
From where?
Wherever you want.
The beginning?
The Bamboo Palace for all I care.
What?
No.
How dare you? How dare you? Hold on, I need to mark something because it seemed important.
Great visual content here.
Pardon? I have to mark it or I'll forget. All right, let's go back to the beginning.
All right.
I always
In
mark.
the beginning.
I have a system. I have a color-coded system. And this is my second time through this Bible. But I'm going to be using this system probably the rest of my life. Unless a new system comes that's better. Anyways, I mark every time that the angel of the Lord represents God.
Mhm.
Because I think it's so easy. I'm not attributing anything special to the angel, anything like that. I just mark it because they are a physical, I believe, a physical like on behalf of God,
Yeah.
not a representation of God.
Ambassador.
Like they're a messenger. But this seems like someone that they saw physically, right? Because throughout the time of Moses, no, not Moses, Joshua, there was an angel that went before them in some of the battles and things like that. And I don't know if this is the same one. I'm assuming that it is. It doesn't tell us, and it's not important.
Right.
But I always find it so interesting when I find these little, because they're like little snippets. And I think that's on purpose, because you're not supposed to worship angels and you're not supposed to make a big deal out of them.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like a lot of the stuff that we focus on, a lot of the questions people have about the Bible and about some of the more supernatural stuff. We have all these questions about, when I get to heaven, I want to ask God what the angel that wrestled with Jacob looked like. And it was like, that's fine. I don't think you're going to remember that, but go ahead. But the reason that we get so little information is that the focus isn't on the being that is the messenger. It's
Yeah.
they're a messenger of the Lord. The focus is on the Lord.
But it's interesting because you know how the chapter before it says Israel fails to conquer the land, and it's like the whole chapter is like, and they didn't do this, and it literally says failed like 8 times, maybe more, in the previous chapter.
Yeah.
And it says here,
They failed twice, it says here.
it says it basically like, I left them there to test you. That's why you didn't conquer the land. And you
I think that's a twofold thing, right? So
Yeah.
they're in the land to begin with. And it is a test of Israel's faith and willingness to follow Joshua and the Lord
Mhm.
that they go to battle anyways. Like regardless, there's a test in their obedience to follow Joshua and Joshua to follow the Lord into battle. And
Mhm.
they're obedient, and so God gives them victory. But when their obedience stops, he doesn't punish them immediately. He gives them another opportunity. So there's a test there. Say, all right, well, you stopped, but let's pick it back up now and keep going. And so it was a failure to finish, but God used that failure to give Israel an opportunity to sort of redeem themselves. Well, not themselves, but,
Mhm.
to finish the work that God had expected of them.
What are your thoughts on worshiping or praising God, even given the fact that he said, well, you didn't do what I said, so this is going to be a thorn in your side, a constant temptation. And it says they wept and they offered sacrifices to the Lord there, and they gave it a name. Like, this is a place to remember, I guess, but they are worshiping, right? By giving sacrifices and offerings. Is that not an act of worship? Are they thanking God for his judgment?
I don't think so.
You don't think that's what the sacrifice was? The sacrifices like a plea of please forgive me, or
They're probably atonement sacrifices.
atonement?
It's prayer. It's speaking to God. Worship is the kind of a thing we don't define a lot, right?
Yeah.
And one of the better definitions I've heard about worship is to confer blessing to God. So you don't think about this a lot, but the Bible does call us to bless the Lord,
Yes, it does.
right?
Which is
That's
so
worship.
strange because you feel like only blessings could come from the Lord.
Right.
How can I give a blessing?
So exactly, how do you bless somebody? How do you buy a gift for someone that has everything?
That's easy. Pray for them. They don't.
Please just play along with my analogy here.
Okay. I don't know. What do you get them?
How do you get a gift for Tony Stark?
I don't know.
So in the movie,
Who's Tony
this
Stark?
literally comes up. Iron Man. Sorry. In the Marvel movie Iron Man 1.
What's Iron Man?
Look it up. It's 2026.
He's a comic book hero. And in movies.
Yes, he is a character in the Marvel Comics universe and is a superhero. Iron Man, Tony Stark is his true identity. Iron Man's his alter ego thing. He's like Batman, but with cooler technology.
Super billionaire.
And I feel like if anybody, 90% of the people that would watch this would come after me for saying he was cooler than Batman.
And he has everything. He has everything on top of everything.
Anyways, he's a billionaire.
I said super billionaire.
Super billionaire who made all of his money in like defense contracting. So super billionaire.
Yeah.
What do you buy a gift for him to make him
A
appreciate it?
You get him a friend.
In the movie in Iron Man, so he has an artificial like gadget that keeps him alive.
Mm-hmm.
And
a pacemaker.
It's not a pacemaker, but it is dying and needs to be replaced.
As pacemakers.
And his assistant helps him replace it.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps it and she gives it to him for his birthday in like a mounted like case.
Yeah.
And it says proof that Tony Stark has a heart. And he even says in the movie, I'm not I've been called many things, but never sentimental. Get rid of it or something, right? But it ends up being very important to him. You buy somebody a gift who has everything that you want to mean something, the gift has to come from your heart.
Oh, yeah.
That was the whole if you didn't ask so many questions and clarifying, this would have been a much shorter analogy, and I already have long analogies, so, um, but so to confer blessing, to bless the Lord is all about the attitude of the heart,
Yeah.
right? And so our worship, we use guided worship
Yes.
in our modern day, right?
Yeah.
Songs.
Yeah.
But the idea is I may not have the words to articulate how I appreciate God, what I want to take from God, what I want God to know.
Mm.
And so I use guided words like the Psalms, and my heart brings them to the Lord, and it makes God pleased, or it is a pleasing aroma.
Mm.
So I don't think this is worship because its intention is not to please the Lord, but to appease the Lord.
Appease. Yeah. Yeah.
And it does feel like we've already got the Levitical system. They know their cost, right? They know the price that has to be paid for sinfulness, which is the atonement sacrifices.
Yeah.
But there's no tabernacle, there's no temple yet. So, no, there's a tabernacle. We're way past that. I don't know where the tabernacle is right now. I think it's parked in Benjamin somewhere, isn't it? Or is that later?
No, there's a place. No, I'm thinking of farther ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
You really don't get a lot about the tabernacle in Judges.
no, you don't.
But clearly everybody's sort of trying to figure out national worship here and national sacrifice because they're setting up the tabernacle has been their home base for their entire time in the wilderness, but they're starting to
Wait,
plant roots.
we do have a place.
We know it's somewhere.
Joshua parked it somewhere
Right.
when they came into the land.
That's the same as not knowing where it is.
It's right after they cross the Jordan.
Yes.
It's right there.
Oh, you think it's still there? They leave it there for the
I mean,
whole
that's the last
campaign?
known place we've got.
Yeah.
What's it called? Go back. Is it called? Is it Gilgal?
Yeah.
Gilgal.
I think so.
I think it is Gilgal. I mean, I think that's the last place we're told. Have you found it yet?
No.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
they camped at Gilgal just east of Jericho.
Yeah, right after they crossed the Jordan, they stopped there.
So either way, the Israelites are trying to figure everything out. How do you do the worship and the sacrifices? Well, you set up an altar and you do it where you're at.
Mm.
Now, I think by nature, in order for this to work, for the Israelites to understand it working, the region where the altar is would probably have to be consecrated. So now it becomes named and it becomes a special place.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's worship.
Okay. No, that's good to know. So the next thing that kind of
Well, which is fine, by the way, right? Like, not every interaction you have with God is worship.
no. Yeah. Yeah. The next thing that kind of caught my attention was this part where it says after Joshua died. Sorry. It says, and the Israelites served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and the leaders who outlived him, those who had seen all the great things the Lord had done for Israel. And that kind of struck me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it easier? Was it easier to stay connected to God when you had seen the proof in the pudding, when you had seen the miracles and the wonders, like when you pass these stories down to your children, but they didn't actually see it? Is it harder to believe? I know we have. I have things that have happened in my life that I know are from the Lord without a shadow of a doubt. Um, like my own testimony. And I think that's why I think this has to do with testimony possibly because testimony is so important. If you're not passing that story down, like if you're not telling others of what happened, if you're not having testimony meetings, then I'm not sure you're doing your due diligence and you're going to have people that turn away from the Lord.
I think to what Jesus said though, right? Jesus spends 3 years ministering and teaching and preaching and miracling amongst the people.
Yeah.
And even right up until the end, the people are like, show us a sign. Call down angels, get them to come take you down from the cross.
Hmm.
You said you'd rebuild the temple. Now you're on a cross. Like they're constantly sort of beckoning him to prove it. And he's like, I did. It wasn't enough for you. He says, people, this is a wicked and unbelieving generation that like has seen all the signs, so they won't have any more signs except for the sign of Jonah.
Hmm.
And even that they don't believe. And so I'm not sure.
What do you think? It's like 2 generations after Joshua that maybe 3?
I don't know, but I do think that the implication is that you need to be very clear and intentional with conveying your experiences with God to those around you. We talk about leaving a legacy of faith.
And
it doesn't really happen accidentally.
And wouldn't hurt to have a discipleship program. Right? Like how else can you?
Well, the Hebrew people have one of the best discipleship programs, right? Like pledging yourself to a rabbi
Yeah, but
is
that's
so
not
involved.
established here.
No, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Right? Like who does it help? Basically the disciples.
Yeah.
And I think, you can follow that out because if you read the history of the Jewish people, if you read through or study any of the post-Jesus schools of rabbis of the rabbinical teaching and tradition, they get real weird.
In what way?
Well, you get this things start to come out of those sects, like the Cabal, and some of their claims about both the Messiah coming and the Messiah having already come, but we're just going to do this anyways. There's a rabbi around 1100 AD that goes, you know what? I've looked and we missed him somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're just going to keep on worshiping. Like, what do you mean we're just going to keep on worshiping? The further they get, the worse it gets, the more convoluted, the more confusing it gets. And so, like, if you're not really careful and really intentional with your discipleship, which is probably the wrong term,
Yeah.
you get a lot of messiness and cults and things.
Yeah. This phrase, after that generation died, another generation grew up who did not acknowledge the Lord or remember the mighty things he had done. And this is the thing. I think the Bible talks about remembering.
Now, there's a theological definition of remembering.
The whole Bible is about remembering.
And it's a little different.
Yeah. Or the fear of forgetting, which I think is pretty relatable for everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at verse 5 for a second.
But it's why they emphasize, memorizing the Torah and or writing it on your heart or writing it on your hands.
You know what I wonder?
Actually, I want to tell you my scripture this morning in Isaiah talked about God writing something on his hands.
Yes.
Hold on. It was great. And I'm not sure. Oh, you go ahead. Let me look for what I'm looking for.
No, I just wonder if their focus on memorizing scripture was a bit of a deterrent, like a detraction to their faith because they focus so much on it, they don't really write it on their hearts.
This morning from Isaiah chapter 49 that I read. Chapter 49, 15, 16. or sorry, let's go back to 14. It says, "Yet Jerusalem says, the Lord has deserted us, the Lord has forgotten us. Never can a mother forget her nursing child. Can she feel no love for the child she's born? But even if that were possible, I would not forget you. See, I have written your name on the palms of my hands. Always in my mind is a picture of Jerusalem's walls in ruins." It eventually talks about them returning, but I've written your name on the palms of my hands. God has our names on his hands.
Which is symbolic of his authority, right? Almighty, the one who has his hand on everything.
Yeah, it's awesome. He can't forget. The point of this verse is that
But he
can't.
does.
Well, yeah, I guess
So, right. So this is what I talk about, the definition of forgetting and remembering being a little different in the Bible than humans typically think of.
Mhm.
Because when we sin and we seek forgiveness and we come to Christ, it says he casts our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
God has a willful ability to forget, which is basically meaning he doesn't view us in light of our sin anymore,
Mm.
right? You are innocent.
Yeah.
So for scripturally, at least when it comes to Jesus and God, when we talk about remembering and forgetting, the Hebrew people would have understood a burden of that word to be the way you live. So if you're going to remember, if your father was a carpenter and you want to remember your father, you're going to be a carpenter because you're going to live out his memory.
Oh, that's an interesting view.
And so when Jesus remembers his promises to Israel, he never forgot them, but he is reestablishing them, reinforcing them, reminding them, showing them, revealing whatever it is. He's doing something in action with them.
Mm.
And so for Israel, if they've forgotten, it doesn't mean that there isn't a priest clocking in to work somewhere at the tabernacle, but I think the purpose of it has been lost,
Mm.
which is pretty easily identifiable. Because you look at this and you go, how could you ever just forget about God? Especially when your grandfather was roaming in the wilderness watching miracles happen,
Yeah.
being fed, right? Like, how could you possibly forget that? Well, it's not really what it means. They don't respect it. They don't embrace it. They don't live it out. And they're happy to go to worship at the high places of
Well, I
Baal.
think it's easy. I mean, it's easy even to see as you look through history s- and even how people live today. It's just willful disobedience.
So in an argument with Richard Dawkins, who's like a famous atheist, John Lennox is talking to him about the evidence for scripture and for God.
Who's John Lennox?
Christian apologist guy.
Mathematician.
Mathematician, yeah.
What is the word?
Science orator.
It
Like
said
he's a
I need to look it up again. Hold on, because I don't know how to say the word.
anesthetist.
No, it's not that word. Hold on. He's a bioethicist.
Bioethicist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bioethicist.
Ethics. He looks at. So one of his arguments for a divine being is DNA. DNA being a molecule that carries information.
Yeah.
Right. And DNA in and of itself has like 378 characters or something in it, right?
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's
I'll take your word
378,000. It's
for
a
it.
ton of letters that are defined by DNA.
Yeah.
He says, look at an exit sign. You see the exit sign, EXIT, you know what its purpose is, and you know whether you realize it or not, like your brain understands it was made by somebody to perform a purpose.
Mhm.
DNA has 300,000 letters. And scientists cannot be honest with themselves and look at it and say this doesn't have a creator because it carries information. It has a purpose. It has to have a creator. So he uses biology to argue, I think, humanity. But my point being, he says to Richard Dawkins, they're arguing, and Richard Dawkins says to him, you keep talking about the evidence of your faith. Is it really faith if it's based on evidence? To which John Lennox very happily says, the reason you're arguing this is because you think that because my parents were Christian, of course I'm Christian, but you haven't been honest with us. Were your parents atheists? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, and you can't tell me that your faith wasn't shaped. He's like, well, I don't view it as a faith. Now, this man, Richard Dawkins, was a famous atheist. He was also like a philosopher at Princeton for a while. Like, he's a very, very smart man. That might not be right.
Mm.
But it's an interesting thing where the evidence of God doesn't always lead to faith for people,
Which
even
is
though
wild.
it is what our faith is built on. And for the Jewish people in this time, in the book of Judges, they've got evidence all around them. They've seen, like, think of not even like their parents or grandparents' stories. They have walls that are in crumbles because of their campaigns against the foreign nations. They're living in towns that probably still have murals and carvings of foreign gods, kings, important things, names carved on walls and stuff of their former ruler. And we just took it because we're strong. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You don't even have swords.
In the description of who John is, it says he's a Northern Irish mathematician. It says that first. Bioethicist and lay theologian. He's written books on theology and Christianity, and that's the last thing that identifies him.
One of his books about the creation of the universe. It's about the first couple chapters of Genesis. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah, I remember.
He's a brilliant man, but he's also like the happiest apologist on the planet. Like when Richard Dawkins challenges him and he tells the story, and he's like, "Oh, I was so happy he asked me," and and even in his conversation, he's like, "Oh," like he's just the happiest man in the world.
Do you know in 2020 he wrote a book on AI and like how it will be our downfall?
That's not surprising.
It's called 2084, and it's kind of like a take
1984.
on.
That's funny. I just can't see him writing anything that bleak. Anyways, we're not here to talk about John Lennox. We're here to talk about Judges chapter 2.
Okay. Then
I think the interesting thing, one of the interesting is God sort of calls out to his covenant to Israel. Right? He says, I would never break my covenant with you in verse 1. I know I've gone back a bit. And then you get like a bunch of sentences about how God has sort of, from their perspective, abandoned them, even though they abandon him is what happens.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting conversation in and of itself. How often do we look at God and go, why would you let this happen? You've abandoned me. And God goes,
you abandoned me
sorry,
first.
you walked away. What are you talking about? I've been waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
There's a video going around of this kid. He's probably in his mid-20s. With there's a Muslim man arguing with him about how if Jesus is divine and he's all-knowing, how could he forget his divine mission if on the cross he says, "Why have you forsaken me, God?"
I don't understand.
He's basically saying because Jesus is asking the question, why am I here? Why have you left me here, God? Why have you abandoned me here?
He lost his mission.
That he forgot his divine mission, so he can't really be God. And the guy goes, I'm sorry. Jesus goes to the cross, says, my God, why have you forsaken me, which is the opening verse to Psalm 22, which is a prophetic psalm about the Messiah, where it talks about them tearing his clothes and the wolves encircling him and them beating him and he's like, he didn't forget. He's pointing it out to people like, hey, remember this? This is me. Look what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Isaiah, since I'm in Isaiah, like every other chapter is about Jesus.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, and it's so wild because it's so much time between Isaiah and Jesus.
You know, people call as Jeremiah as the weeping prophet, right?
Yeah, he's the weeping.
When it's a lot about Jesus as well. It should be like on our side of things. Shouldn't we call him the hopeful prophet? Like,
it's really hard to get through Jeremiah though, because it does sound, but it's terrible what he's going through. So
we've talked about this.
Yeah.
You're in Isaiah right now.
Yeah.
I remember you saying when you finished Psalms, like on here, I'm doing the Gospels in parallel, so all 4 at once, right? And
Yeah.
I'm in the crucifixion right now,
Oh,
all
that's-
4 at once.
I'm
Actually,
not. It's brutal.
this morning or today and tomorrow is the resurrection.
Oh,
it's
so
like-
that should be exciting.
But all 4 Gospels at one time, the crucifixion, which amazingly not that much. There's not a lot of text about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is Jeremiah can happy up. Good
No,
grief.
he can't. The city is falling.
It's fine. It
It's
fell
not.
before.
It's really not.
It'll be rebuilt.
It's really not.
You get to go out.
It's really not. Let's move on.
Where are we at?
We're at verse 11.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that area, anyways.
Should we talk about Baal?
Yeah, sure. What are we saying about him?
The bad dude.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I don't know. This is a very extreme tangent, but in the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks,
oh boy.
yeah, the movie about witches and Nazis.
Yeah.
She finds a book on Ashtaroth,
Yeah.
which I feel like is some sort of aside from this Ashtoreth.
Okay.
But every time I see, because Ashtoreth comes up a lot,
Yes.
and every time I see it, I think of Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
I'm guessing, I've never actually looked into this, that much like Baal becomes a sort of stand-in name for pagan gods. There's a point where
I thought it
Baal
was a pantheon of gods.
Baal becomes symbolic of idol worship and pagan worship.
Yes.
But he also is so heavily hated by the Jewish people eventually
Is he more hated than?
that he becomes a synonym for the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but the problem is Baal is an actual god in the pantheon of Canaanite gods. He's like the prince to the king El. So El is like the Zeus character.
But we
and-
don't really hear much about that one, right?
No, not much.
I mean, is
Honestly,
he
you
even...
don't hear about most of it, and we didn't know about most of it. Like we modern people didn't know about most of it. There's a dig in the 1800s that called it Ugarit. I found the Ugarit text that explained a lot of it.
So we hear about Ashtoreth, and we hear about Baal, and we hear about the one that starts with an M,
Molech.
Molech. We hear a lot about Molech.
So your Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Stargate has the bad guys in Stargate all take the name and the persona of Egyptian gods.
Right.
Well, they run out of known ones after about season 6.
Okay.
And so in
They
season
start using
7, they start using
biblical
gods from all over the
gods.
place.
Oh, okay.
And one of the most persistent ones, if not the most persistent one for the last 3 seasons, is Baal.
Oh,
And he's actually quite a
no.
funny character.
That's terrifying. I don't like that.
No, but Molech is one for a brief, for like a 2-part
I hate
plot
that.
line.
I hate that a lot.
But they pick these names to represent the bad guys throughout the whole. And I find it fascinating that this very not like Christian group of people writing this just sort of like inherently know, oh, these are the villains.
I wonder if they Googled those names. Like, how do they? Was Google a thing when the show was being made? I don't know how far back the show goes.
I'm pretty sure Google was started in 1998.
Okay. So yes, they had it. Yeah. Because I remember before Google, I used to use Ask Jeeves. Why are you? What? Why? Why are you?
It's not a before Google thing. They're fairly like Ask Jeeves was a little bit before.
Yeah, that's what I use.
But the day Google was made, it was better than Ask Jeeves.
I know that.
And the fact
I'd
that
stopped-
you
Probably
are
stopped
beholden
using
to
Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves and Yahoo.com
I'm
and all
not
these things.
beholden to it. I'm not beholden. I'm
You
only
probably had a
beholden to
secret
you.
AOL email you haven't told me about because you're too
All
embarrassed.
right. All right. Did you want to say more about Baal?
Oh, just that, like, so when it refers to Baal, it's typically referring to a Canaanite god. And the
Mhm.
further you get in the Bible, the word Baal means master.
Mhm.
And so it's just sort of like any pagan worship, any god, any idol that you have can also be used as Baal. So I would say as you get through Judges and into the later books of the Bible, as you get into the prophets, when you look at Ezekiel and them, when they're talking about Baal, they're usually not talking about that god.
Mm-hmm.
And later they're talking about the devil a lot of the time. So when we get into the minor prophets and the New Testament, like Beelzebul is a transformation of the name Baal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I knew that much.
Beelzebul, Beelzebub, they're the same thing.
Right.
It's just that you kind of watch it, and anytime you read it, it's like just put into place your most idolist thing, idolatry,
So
whatever.
the way they worship Ashtoreth, they have poles.
Ashtoreth was a fertility god,
Yeah,
so it was typically with sex.
yeah. But they had these great giant poles, right? But I'm not really certain what the point of the poles were.
So generally, the worship of any god was you had to get yourself higher. You had to elevate yourself.
Right.
And so for Baal, it was on high places.
Mm-hmm.
And for Ashtoreth, it was also high places, but the altar particularly was a pole. And they would have fornication rituals at the base of the pole and stuff.
I was just thinking all throughout history, we have all kinds of people worshiping a different type of, like, even in America, you have the totem poles,
Mhm.
and they worship their gods that way. And do they not?
I can't say this universally, but most totem poles are used for protection, and they're like wards and stuff. They're not worshipped
Well,
necessarily.
yeah, because you even have you have the maypole, but I'm not sure that's a.
I'm sure that's probably got some religious background to it,
But
but I
I'm
have
just
no idea.
thinking like the origins of that probably go back to some.
It's very
sort of
possible. But even the Jewish
pagan
people, right?
worship.
The Jewish people are not called to, but their altars end up on high places. So much
Yes.
so that it's the role of the kings. Like when you read through First and
Yeah.
Second Kings, so often it's like, and they
They
restored
abolished
the high
all
places.
or they abolished
destroyed,
all
yeah,
the, like even Hezekiah, because
because there's altars and sites of worship on the high places for the Israelites.
they say to Hezekiah when the Babylonians come, Babylonians,
the
they're like,
Babylon.
you. Did I say Babel?
You said blah. So it's Babylonians. Which
They
is just a
said,
funny sounding word.
your king destroyed all of your high places and all of your altars. Of course you can't worship properly. That's why your God's upset with you.
And even the
But
temple,
that's what he was supposed to do.
right? Like even the temple is on a high place.
Yeah, it's on the mount.
And this is another example where God takes things that were culturally normal and he redeems them for a special purpose.
Mm.
But that should highlight when you were out of alignment with God. If you were worshiping on a high place, the Lord, and everybody can see they're worshiping the Lord on the high place.
Mm-hmm.
But when in congruence to that, like if you're worshiping a pagan god on a high place, everybody can see you're not worshiping the Lord.
Yeah.
And so it should have helped God using the high places and redeeming them for his purpose. But the Israelites are fallen and they're like us and they suck.
Yeah. I'm not saying maypole is
and
worshiping evil. I'm curious what the origins are.
I would be completely shocked to find out it had no bearing in some sort of pagan worship.
Yeah, fertility at the very least. It says the Lord handed them over
Celtic and Germanic pagan spring festivals such as Beltane,
which is fertility, right?
Yeah. Usually. Yeah.
So the Lord handed them over to raiders, right? Which
you're very right. Sorry.
The Lord handed them over to raiders.
You know what I thought of when you read that?
What?
The Amalekites, the way they're represented in the David movie.
Oh, yeah. Who stole their possessions. That is the job of a raider.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just land pirates, right?
Yeah.
That's what raiders are.
Land pirates. Raiders. He turned them over to their enemies all around, and they were no longer able to resist them. which is kind of a funny way of saying, like, yeah, we couldn't fight them. Like,
Well, yeah, because the Israelites weren't good at fighting. God was. That was kind of the point.
causing them to be defeated, and the people were in great distress.
So this is the template for the rest of the book, right?
It really is.
This is where God goes, oh my gosh, they
Because
need help.
this book's not in order.
No.
This book's kind of a jumble.
Yeah.
Um,
But it is presented in a, we'll talk about this when we get to the end, but
Yeah.
there is a presentation of this book that makes you very easily feel like it's in some sort of order. and
yeah,
it's
you
just
do
not.
think it is, but it isn't.
No.
No. So the Lord raised up judges, which is literally what this book is about, to rescue them. Yet they didn't listen. Some of the judges in this book, you're like, these are not the pinnacle of, these are no Davids.
I tell this story all the time that when
David's at the top of his game.
I told my siblings that I was becoming an officer, all of them went, you? And it's just a lot of these judges, you kind of go, you? This guy seems troubled.
Some of them are genuinely terrible. I mean, from what we're given of their character. But I think that's proof that God can use anybody for his purpose, whether they want it to be or not. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I talked about on Sunday, the accountability that Christians are held to with their words, but for some people, that means you're called to be a teacher, and so you're held more accountable. And if you fall away or you walk away, it doesn't mean that God's not going to use the words that you left. And I gave the example of Ravi. Like when stuff came out about Ravi, there were Christians who were sort of lost because they came to Christ through Ravi's teaching.
Ravi Zacharias was an apologist, and
was
after he died,
Specifically trying not to draw a lot of attention to this.
okay,
So he did some crappy stuff, and basically he wasn't a Christian. And at least not that his intimate fruit revealed.
Yeah.
And so people were like had the crises of faith because they came to Christ through Ravi's teaching.
Yeah.
Come to find out he was a monster. And but God can use, like, he could have been a monster. That doesn't mean God can't use what he's doing to bring others close to him.
What he tried to do in God's name.
What he appeared to be doing in God's name.
Mm-hmm.
And so like these people that were having crises of faith, it showed a couple things. So they were kind of disciples of that. And I talked about this on Sunday. It was like, you're disciples of that person rather than of God. But also like we were able to tell them. I had one guy in particular that really struggled with it. And we were able to tell him, like, if that's what if that's what you heard and what got you to God, then God took what was evil and used it for good.
Yeah.
Move on. Your life is in Jesus, not in the people who took you to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I was talking about that.
Because I talked about. No, I don't know. I don't remember.
But I also like the rest of this section is like, so God raised up judges, and the judges helped Israel get back on the straight and narrow. But when they died, Israel jumped off the path again.
Yeah.
And it's like, just so
and then
you know,
they were in distress again. So God raised up another judge.
This is what you're getting into with this book. This is one of the few books that's like, let me tell you, boys, this is what's about to happen. It's going to be a real frustrating read.
It's going to be dark.
A lot of people are going to die. Some people seem to have superpowers. Buckle up.
Yeah. It's a pretty wild read.
It really is.
And yeah, it's not a book you go into lightly.
No.
I mean,
Happy Mother's Day. Which is coming up this Sunday.
Which the first judge is Othniel.
It's not Elkad
technically.
or whatever.
Hmm?
Not.
Well, yes, Othniel. Othniel, Caleb's nephew and son-in-law, becomes the first judge. And he's a pretty cool guy. And then
We're
Ehud.
going to have to read about that cool guy another day because it's been 50 minutes and
Yeah.
we are running out of time.
Ehud is the left-handed guy.
Everybody loves left-handed people, just not this one. This left-handed character is problematic, right?
Is he?
Isn't he?
No.
No?
No.
Isn't Gideon also left-handed?
I don't know.
I think the wording that's used to describe him as like a weak character or whatever.
The tribe of Benjamin are mostly left-handed.
Maybe I'm a Benjamite. That can't be true. None
I
of
don't
my
think
family is
that's
left-handed.
because it talks about how they
Don't get ahead of the story. Spoilers.
there are no spoilers.
It's only 4,000 years old. Somebody hasn't read it. Well-
I think the problem you have with Ehud is like it's just something he does is rather gruesome.
I thought he had something gruesome done to him. I mean,
No, he does something gruesome to someone.
Oh, I'm all in. Get him, Aragorn. Yeah, we're gonna call it there. This is currently May 5th. So this coming Sunday is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
This is our 10th kind of officially, because that's how old Caleb is together as a couple.
I beg your
Mother's Day.
pardon?
It's our 10th Mother's Day.
Oh, okay.
Prior
like
to Mother's
We've
Day.
been married 15 years
Yes,
this
I am
year,
well aware of
but
it.
I forgot that we didn't have Caleb for a while.
Prior to Mother's Day, we had Husband's Day and Wife's Day.
Well, yes, we did.
Because our birthdays are both in January and we wanted an excuse to give each other gifts throughout the year.
I know you just give me gifts all the time just because I came home from women's camp and he's like, your come home gift isn't here yet. And I was like, what?
It got delayed. I was furious.
What are you talking about? I
don't
I was
understand why
gone. I was gone 2 nights.
I do this at every camp. And I have done this with every camp for years.
Yeah. Thank you for loving me so much.
Thank you for remembering.
I have terrible short memory.
I'm gonna touch that. So happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending part of your week in the Bible with me.
I really enjoy this. I find this the highlight of our week.
Me too. Although, well, hold on, we gotta be careful with that. We do have Bible study with other humans in the room. That's fun too.
It's fun.
And church is great too.
But I don't have to hold back. I'm not. But sometimes you have to be you have to be a little more careful with who's in the room, and because not everybody. Yeah, you do. You have to be careful a little bit sometimes. I'm not. Oh. I don't have to be careful.
She doesn't know I put the logo up so that
I saw you push a button. I guessed you did something.
Never.
How would you like to end this? We need to pray.
We do need to pray.
You need to pray.
How dare you?
I can't say you need to pray.
The tone.
I'm sorry you took
implied
the tone to mean that I think you need to pray, which shouldn't be a problem.
I should point out that when she says you need to pray, it's because she thinks I need to spend some time seeking forgiveness. It is not a happy gesture to allow me to pray on our behalf.
Except in this instance, I did mean that.
Unlikely. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the opportunity to just dive into your word and for revealing things to us and continuing to show us that your word has purpose and continues to grow within us. Help us not to forget it like the judges are forgotten as they die off, and that we are able to help ourselves and each other follow your ways. Please be with us as we go through the day. Thank you for the mothers. Please forgive my wife and help us to have a great week.
I will
Amen.
ask for forgiveness. I don't have a problem doing that. If I have, I will happily ask for forgiveness.
Don't worry. I've done it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't think it works that way, but
Pretty sure it doesn't.
pretty sure it's a whole chunk of time.
Asterisk. You can't do. Although, interesting thing, Daniel, 9 or 10, is a prayer.
Asking for forgiveness
Where
of the
he-
nation.
Yes, he
Yeah.
intercedes on behalf of the nation and
Yep.
seeks forgiveness
I mean,
from
you
God.
can do that. You can do that. It doesn't mean that it's probably not a bad thing to, like, as a representation, to ask for forgiveness for. Well, that's literally what a scapegoat is, right? Asking for forgiveness for the whole nation, not a
Jesus.
scapegoat. That's the word where scapegoat comes from. The
Atonement sacrifice.
Yes,
Jesus.
the atonement sacrifice of the goat going into the desert. Yeah, for 3 weeks.
Yeah. He fasts, prays. And his like weakness, he breaks down and he prays. It's chapter 9. I said
Yeah,
10
it's
earlier,
not 10.
sorry.
But chapter 10,
Is the response to the prayer.
God says to him, or an angel says to him, you are very precious to God.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing.
It is such a cool thing.
And the reason that he prays is he reads the scripture, and Jeremiah's writings he reads, who is like, they're the same, they're written at the same time.
Yep.
They're living at the same time.
Yes.
And he accepts the prophecy of Jeremiah, and he realizes that God has a timeline for them in captivity.
Mhm.
And once the time elapses and Israel has repented,
Mhm.
then he will send the Messiah. Or he will return them from exile. And so Daniel goes, I've read the scriptures. I know how much time it's been. Oh my gosh, we need to repent. And he repents. He tries to take responsibility for the sins of Israel on himself and bring them to God. And he repents on behalf. So
Is he trying to make God's plan happen faster?
He recognizes that this is within the timeline of God's plan,
Which
but
I
Israel
guess he could
hasn't
be the one.
repented yet.
Because it even says how special he is.
And
you are very precious to
God's
God.
response is, I appreciate what you're doing, brother. Let me show you what the rest of my plan is.
It says after this, listen carefully to what I have to say to you. Stand up, for I have been sent to you. And when he said this, I stood up.
It's the best sorry no that God has in the whole Bible, because he goes, and he then,
Like, I love you.
because of
but no.
Daniel's faith and because of his his commitment to God through his whole life, God goes, but I'm going to show you something cool.
Yeah.
And it sort of wrecks Daniel, but that's a different problem.
Oh, he's utterly wrecked.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times in the Bible where people are utterly wrecked because they see some of God's glory, like of God's glory. It's like Isaiah, Daniel, and
Daniel is wrecked because he feels for Israel and what they're about to go through under Antiochus Epiphanes and the different.
Isaiah is
rulers.
wrecked because he sees God's glory. Like, and I was at women's camp this past weekend, and the speaker asked God to show her the sin that was keeping her from him, and it wrecked her. Like it did. He did. And it utterly wrecked her. And it made me think of Isaiah.
See, whenever I hear stories like that, I'm very confused because I don't know how to feel about them.
Well, I think she was telling us about, like, she needed a transformation in herself because she was sinful. She admitted that. She's like, there was sin in my heart, and I willfully
knew that.
Oh, I think you're right.
Right? So, like, and this is what it confused. So, God, if you have sought forgiveness, God's already moved on.
Mhm.
It's you who haven't forgiven yourself and started the process of,
Because
maybe it takes confession, there's a lot that needs to happen, but this kind of statement, it sort of like puts the responsibility on God. I'm stuck in sin until God does something.
I'm trying to remember the context so I don't like
Sure.
totally mess up what she said. But
I'm sure it's helpful for some
she
people.
said she
It's
was
just-
very critical of her husband. She
Right.
said like she just like not that she ever said to him, but she was like, I just didn't think that he was as spiritual as I was. I didn't think he had the same. And like, I was always thinking, you need to do this or you need to do that. Like how you jokingly said that I thought you needed to pray right now.
I'm aware this is a joke, by the way. I'm not.
I know.
I don't.
I know you spend time.
We are very different in our spirituality.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because my way is not your way.
But we're both marching down the path.
We are marching together,
Yeah.
hand in hand. But she was very critical of her husband, and she said she prayed to God, and I guess he showed her that. She was terribly critical of him, and it wasn't fair to their marriage or to both of their walks. It wasn't fair. And it said she was wrecked. She said for days after she was a
that
mess.
to me, it's like the wrecking of it comes more from like you have released the shame that you have been like hiding away, right? Like,
or that
this
you're
is
finally
not-
realizing.
because if you've sought forgiveness, God's already forgiven you for that. If it's a habitual sin, you're gonna have to get forgiveness continually. But like,
Yeah. Well, she said she did.
Yeah.
Once she realized the
Good.
sin, she said that night she grabbed her husband. It was like it was like 3 a.m. or something. And she grabbed him, shook him, which is not fair to him.
wake up! I've been a jerk.
Yeah, basically is what she said. She's like, I'm sorry I've been so critical of you all these years. I'm sorry I've been
Did
you
he
know,
even
holier,
know?
holier than thou. I think so.
Okay.
I think she kind of like
Yeah, that's cool.
pressed him about it sometimes.
I'm not trying to like downplay it. I always, when I hear things like this, I always wonder how much of it is just them working through it and God standing by and going, hopefully at the end of this, you can feel the way about you that I do.
All I need to say is that if you ever need to talk to me, it better not be at 3 a.m.
I was thinking that too, actually. It's like, gosh, God, if you're going to work through something like this, could
Please
it be
do
at
it.
like 3 in the afternoon?
Please do it while we're awake.
Maybe like noon after lunch?
No, I guess if you really had to, I'd get over it. But we already finished. We're talking about other stuff.
This is fun.
It was fun.
We'll see you next time for the most wild and depressing book in the Bible.
I mean, it's wild. It's not depressing through the whole one. There's
A
lots
lot of it's real sad. And not
I
even
mean,
like
it's
that
not
it makes me
happy,
sad,
but it's
it
not
is
like this
it's a
is
bleak
dystopian.
outlook at mankind and God's chosen people.
I guess it is kind of dystopian, but some of it's interesting. I think it's a fun read. Like,
The fat that absorbs the sword.
no, that is next chapter. But like Gideon,
It's a disaster.
he as a person, yeah, but like the reading of it's interesting and
Samson's a
it's
travesty.
terrible. But okay, Deborah is
People are
not-
Deborah's fine. The
Yeah.
nation is it doesn't reflect well.
I'm excited to talk about Deborah. Not because there's much there, but I just like that there was a female judge.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure
Which I think is more of an indictment on Israel than
it
anything.
is. It is, and we could talk about it. And that's not chapter 3, unfortunately.
It's not late though.
No, it's like maybe.
Anyways, look at the chapters yourself until we come back
Yeah, yeah.
together.
We'll try. We probably should try and record 2 or 3 next week. But that's not going to get us through the summer.
No, we may not be able to get through the whole summer like this, but we will continue to put up what we can.
Yeah.
This is the goal. We make no promises.
No, our summer gets kind of,
We're gone.
yeah,
We got a month straight where one of us is missing.
Yeah.
If not both of
because
us.
we're on vacation. Then you're at camp. Then I'm at camp. And then we go on vacation again at the end of the summer.
I have an idea, but we'll talk about it offline.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bible together with someone else.
Please do. Adios.